right. Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, if you haven't done it already, please head over to YouTube. It's Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you never miss a video when we go live. Also, head over to WLFE-DB Radio and do the same thing here. Subscribe and follow. Check us out on Facebook, guys. Go ahead, like and share these videos. Helps get past the pesky algorithm out there and get this video out to as many people that need to see this as possible. We have a great message for you today. Our guest today is Adam C. Hall. He is an author of a book called Divine Genius, and this gentleman is dedicated to helping us, you, me, to find our inner divine genius. So I am super excited to get this going, guys. Also, listen, if you want to become a supporter of the show, please head over to patreon.com/offthecuff with Dustin Heisey and become a supporter of the show. Every dollar helps us, and we appreciate everything that you do. As a patron of the show, what we'll do is we'll send you a hat that looks just like this. It'll say patron on the side. As time goes on and you stick with us, the gifts will increase. We'll give you a shirt, a t-shirt, or a hoodie going further down the line. So please, guys, head on over there to patreon.com and check that out. Guys, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our guest tonight, Mr. Adam C. Hall. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you, Dustin. Nice to be here with you. And these are wild and crazy times. So let's see where we want to roll today and see if we can do some good for others in the world.
Hey, we need it. We absolutely need it. And I can tell you myself specifically, I almost just wish I was sitting out here taking notes and listening to this show because I need it in my own life personally. So I'm super excited. We got some folks chiming in. Hi, Adam. How you doing? Can you see the comments across the bottom of the screen?
I can. Hello, Monica. Hello, Gretchen.
All right.
Always nice to see people out there. Brandy. Yes, and everyone. Tom, feeling good. Nice to be here with everybody.
All right. So, Adam, let's start talking a little bit about yourself. Let's dig into, how you got started and where did this all, start happening for you?
Well, I was living that proverbial life of that dog-eat-dog world. I described myself as a proverbial Earth Conqueror. It was kind of win or lose mentality, eat or be eaten. And I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. I grew up, striving for this American dream. I don't know what the hell has happened to it, but ultimately it was something that I was going for. And and that led me to those 60-hour weeks. It came with a nice home. And it offered the accoutrements of life, but it also offered me a place where I didn't feel that damn good. And I was married at the time, and I have 3 beautiful daughters. They're just incredible. And I have 5 granddaughters now. So there's been some great gifts that emerged from that time. But ultimately, Dustin, it was Tums in the morning and tequila at night. And this is not a good indication of a life that was going to last for very long, although it had a lot of good, cool stuff and material belonging. So that began an inflection point that said, well, wait a second, this is not a path. This is not a path that's going to lead anywhere to not a happy ending. And I began to really reflect more deeply on, maybe there's something more to life than just being an Earth Conqueror or having to strive and make so much damn money all the time. And so I began to search. I began that proverbial first step of searching and beginning the step into what else is there in the world. So hopefully that'll kick us off in a way that just says, hey, I'm here with everybody that's in this journey, because these are crazy and wild freaking times. And there's a lot of crazy shit going on, and we need to be together and we need to move forward together. And that's where I'm at. And I actually feel really good about what's happening if we're prepared for what's happening.
Right now,
talk about that.
Yeah, let's jump right in. I mean, in your opinion, what do you think that we need to do as just the average everyday American citizen that's maybe sitting here watching you right now? What do we have to do to become more prepared?
Well, one of the things that I found is that is really being radically fucking honest with myself. And what I mean by that is, I think there was a tendency in my life, and maybe it's in our culture in general, where we want to see things not for how they are, but more like, oh, that's how I want them to be. Like when I was thinking that I was in my relationship with my wife, and I'd just kind of overlooked shit that I was got angry about something stupid, of course.
We're guys, we do
And
that.
I just kind of ignored the dissatisfaction for her, and for me, I kind of drank it away in a nice stiff margarita, and I wasn't being honest with myself at all. So the first thing I think we have to do, not only individually, but just as a planet, is about really like we got to get real with, there's so much noise. Our politics are, this is a bunch of BS, and nobody listens, and we talk over each other. So we got to take our power back. And the message in the divine genius, the unlearning curve, is we have the power. Nobody can take away our power, the power of our genius to choose our sovereignty in the life we want to live. And this is what I found myself doing, and it really stems from really a thought, and it's as simple as this as this statement. I mean, may sound ridiculous, Dustin, but it's this simple. It's one thought that we can live separate from each other. In other words, separate from the planet, separate just from the neighbors, separate from our relationships, and that we're just independent in a way that we can do whatever we fricking want. Well, how's that working out? Well, it's not working out so good, because we got a lot of major shit going down, and this climate business is for real, and it's serious. And we need to pay attention to these kind of things. But ultimately, what matters that I found is like, hey, what can we do individually to reclaim our power and to live in sovereignty? In other words, do we want the world to dictate the life we're living, or do we want to decide and create the world that we live in? Everybody has that. Every single body. It's just a matter like, oh shit, I'm going to give that up because I got to look like this, and I got to do this. And my parents said this and this and this, and my spouse says this. And, all that stuff is noise, and that's surrendering our power. That is totally surrendering our power. So let's talk about taking our power back. Let's talk about living in our power and our truth and our sovereignty. Let's talk about giving up this self-deception of seeing things how we want them to be. It's just like we're drunk, but the word I use is we're insane to think that we can't take the power, live our life, show up in our fullest way, and live an abundant life. So that's kind of the thing. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about right now.
Mm-hmm. And look, I mean, it is so easy to get caught up in the narrative. You understand? It's so. I mean, if you're somebody who gets up every day and you turn on a news broadcast, and it doesn't matter what it is, it could be Fox, CNN, or whatever. I mean, you're being fed something. You're being force fed something that it's just, and it's all been filtered, and it's all been programmed to what they
bullshit.
want. It's exactly what I'm getting at. It is. It's a bunch of bullshit. And really, you've got to be the captain of your own ship. You've got to. That's what you're saying. I mean, you've got to be able to see through that and kind of navigate.
Hey, who else is going to do it? Are you going to leave it up to some news anchor or some other BS? Let's remember that our lives are directly related to what we're consuming. So obviously we think about consumption, and we're thinking about the food we're consuming. I mean, for the most part, our food is toxic, and it's dead food. for what kind of information are we taking in? This is consumption of information. Is this negative information? I mean, rarely have I ever heard anything that's positive on any of these news channels. You know, I don't. I pay attention a little bit, but very little, because if you get caught up in that, that can be very distracting and negative. But ultimately, what are we consuming? And that's the first place of power. It's like, okay, I'm going to turn that shit off. I'm going to watch, I'm eating this food that's not supporting me. It's not, they say, hey, we are what we eat. Well, no, we're not what we eat. We're what our food eats. So imagine that our food is just being sprayed with a whole bunch of shit that it creates other disease. That's the kind of thinking and awareness and invitation that we have right now. Let's be in our power. Let's make clear choices, not out of habit or out of want or desperation or need, but out of our choice to really say, hey, I want to live fully. I want to live freely. And that's the power we have. This isn't kind of new agey BS.
Right.
This is real deal. And now is the time to get super real with ourselves. And that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. And I fall down here and there, of course, and I stumble along the way. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. This is a place to learn, and we're all here to learn, and we're all here to grow. So hopefully that gives us some idea, Dustin, about, let's listen, really reclaiming, taking the next steps on this pathway forward, because we ain't going around it. You got to go right through this shit. There's no other way. You can try the other way, and I tried it. Go around. I'm gonna try to navigate it. If I only had more this or more cars or more, whatever, it doesn't work. So I'm here to say, hey, let's be real. We get to do it together. That's what's cool about it.
Right, and that's great. Now it's a great message. But what do you? Let's look at it from somebody from just a blue collar person who's like, hey, I want to be where this guy is. I mean, sitting here, it's easy for me to say, like, wow, I mean, you've got it all, Adam. You've done all this. You've been to Peru. You had incredible experiences there, which I'd love to hear about. And you've acquired a lot of stuff. Where was that shift for you, where that kind of stopped being your focus? And like, I know you said that you just weren't feeling good about it, and but there was a moment for you, I imagine, at one point where you're just like, this isn't fulfilling for me,
right?
And you shifted, and money stopped being the drive.
Well, here's the key with that in terms of making the shift, and that key really lies in being not allowing something forcing you to make the shift, like a heart attack, or God forbid something, even a death or some kind of disease or divorce, but to really move into a real reality check to say, hey, this is not heading down the right track here. And that shift for me paradoxically happened when I was actually at the pinnacle of my life and my success. And people go, well, what do you mean? Everything is picture perfect here. What's the deal? But ultimately, I was going down to work one morning. I lived by this law of the jungle that says, when the sun comes up, whether you're the lion or gazelle, you better run like hell. You're gonna either eat or you're gonna be eaten. Mm-hmm. And that is the law that I live by. And I subsequently found out when I went to the jungles later in Peru, that ain't true. But it was true in my life at that time. And I was going down the road, and I was driving along, and I was on the phone at, I don't know, it was maybe 5:30 or something, talking to a guy back in New York on Wall Street. And this SOB decided, I'm going to change the deal that we're closing. You're going to close this deal. It was a big thing. It was a lot of money. And I'm going to change this on you at the last minute. And it had significant consequences. So the the power of that moment with that anger and that rage. And then a dog ran in front of my car and I swerved, really just missing the dog. But my heart just went pounding and I thought I couldn't breathe, with the anger and the rage and the stress. And, if that had been just a few years later, and a few more years of that kind of pathology of drinking and eating and sexing and all that stuff, I would have just likely just fallen over dead. And so that said to me, I'm here for my children. I'm here for my life. I'm here to do something. What am I here to do? How can I be a better man than this? How can I be a real man, not some kind of idea of a man? I might thought my dad would show me that, or our heroes in our culture. By God, no, it wasn't me. So my little space here is like time to show up and look at something different. And I want to share with anybody that's out there that's striving to be something other than themselves, that you're looking for abundance, you're looking for love, you're looking for happiness in all the wrong damn places, because you don't want to be me. You want to be you. And you want to say, I'm not just all right. I'm really, really fucking good. That's where we want everybody to be. And that's the whole idea of why I'm showing up here today, to talk to you and talk with everybody and listen to what people's going down, because it ain't easy. And this is the time to take our power. Are you with me?
Absolutely. And how this is great. I mean, you're talking to somebody who has been on this path as long as I can remember. And I've fallen victim to my excuses. I have. I mean, Dustin, why haven't you reached this point? You've always said you're going to do this. You always said you're going to have this or whatever. Why don't you have it yet? Oh, well, I mean, this happened or this happened. We fall victim to circumstances. And then, it could be the simplest thing that just takes us out of the race. But I can tell you from where I'm sitting, what I personally desire. It's not having $10 million in my bank account, that appeals to me. That $10 million represents something else to me. That $10 million represents time freedom for me to actually go out there and do what I feel is my God's purpose, for being here, on the planet in the first place. And I think if people would shift their focus from, hey, I want $10 million because I want that massive house, or I want 23 cars, which you can't drive all at the same time. I mean, I want, and it's all about consumption. I want and I desire and I crave these things only for the time freedom that it gives me to do what I'm truly passionate about. And again, I've allowed circumstances to kind of get in the way of my dreams. But do you coach or recommend somebody who's watching? How do you tell them this is how you go and find out what your purpose is?
Well, that's exactly what I do. And thank you for sharing your truth. I mean, right there alone, that is authentic. And before the show, we were talking a bit about, the kind of man you are and how you're showing up for your family. And yet you said, I sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. And I go, dude, wait a second. But there's like a flashing light going on that says, hey, wait a second. This man is looking for a place where he can breathe and experience the gifts that he has. Because what happens is we focus outside of ourselves for what we think we need, or what we're going to solve our challenges and help us out. And that's just like a Band-Aid on an arm that was just cut off. Sorry for the crude analogy, but that's not how the law of manifestation works, because ultimately what we're asking to do here is to come into a place of our own inner truth, of our authenticity, like you said. So the first thing that I want to talk to you a little bit about is, are you embracing your power to choose what your heart, your soul truly wants to do? Putting aside all this other stuff and all these other responsibilities. But what I'm hearing you say was no. But is that true, that you're really taking your power to do that, to show up for you?
Probably not.
Well, if you were, you would be getting a different result, if you ask me. And I say that kindly, because ultimately the idea of manifestation is removing the blocks that keep us from aligning in our heart, in our bodies, in our minds, with this greater field, what we call the quantum field, which is the abundant field that has everything. In other words, when we're not aligned in that place of our authenticity, then how the hell are we going to align with that field of infinite possibilities, where everything's possible, nothing's impossible? So this immediately says, Dustin, wait a second, time for a reality check. Better check in here a little bit to see, are you tending to the well-being of Dustin? I'm going to ask you that question. Are you doing that?
No.
Well,
I mean, I'm working at the detriment of my body and health.
Well, what does that serve?
You got me. You got me. I feel that it's just something that I need to do. As like Gretchen says here, I mean, I take care of everyone else. I mean, that's kind of like my spirit. That's like my nature. You know, if I see somebody who's in need or somebody who needs help, I will stop what I'm doing in an instant to help that person, even if it puts myself at greater risk.
Beautiful. Well, beautiful to the first part, and not so beautiful to the second part. The second part nullifies the meaning and purpose of the first. And let me explain that, because you just hit upon the next piece. Human beings are the greatest saboteurs of their own well-being and that of others. And when we show up in the world that we're taking care of other people at the detriment of ourselves, we're not doing any good in the world. We think we're going to take care of our children. Of course, that's what we need to do. But what kind of example do you want to set for them? So it's not a matter of not taking care of and supporting others. It's a matter of, how do you want to represent yourself? And it's classic, because the key saboteur, and a place where key obstacle in our lives from manifesting the lives we want, Dustin, is that we sabotage our own selves. And this is a direct result from what I have found, is that we want to play into a role, which is a role that is not authentic. And let me share a little bit more. That role is the role of either being the victim, the perpetrator, or the rescuer. And what you just told me is you are the rescuer. Absolutely. So in that place and in that dynamic, it becomes a trap that holds us into an old way of thinking and functioning and struggling. In other words, some believe they're not good enough to make resources, or not good enough for love. I felt very ashamed. I didn't feel worthy.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You just hit the nail. I mean, that is me in a nutshell. I struggle with self-defeatist. And I look, as my mother's on here, her name is Barb, and she's the one who made that last comment about believing in thought manifesting. And I have always um, kind of felt that even though that I desire these things, or even though that I feel like I do deserve to have these things, or whatever these things are, um, something's always kind of been in the way of that. And and I've always said that I think it's just me. I just don't know that I'm deserving. Maybe I'm not supposed to have all of the abundance that I crave, you know. And I don't feel that that's true. I don't feel that that's true. I believe that anybody can have it if they truly really want it. But see, then it goes back to my father's teachings. You never miss a day of work unless you are dead. You know,
Right.
death, or you're so sick in bed you can't move. That's the only time you miss work. And that's the kind of life that I've led. I always work hard. I dig deep. I apply myself. But it's just seems like it's just out of reach. It's just there, out of my reach. And I always wondered if it wasn't just me, my own fault.
Well, it's the forgive the proverbial cliche. We're our own worst enemies, and I appreciate deeply, as a man, to even hear your transparency. I mean, I respect that immensely, and this is very powerful to be sharing here, because it invites this inquiry for us and for you. I would put forth that does not you're asking not to live in the future from the past life and the past experiences that you've had. In other words, you decided to, perhaps what I heard you say, is adopt your father's philosophy, and no disrespect to him. Our fathers and our mothers always are doing their best in their own way. Not that I could figure it out for so many years, but when I did, it was very freeing from the past experiences, right?
Absolutely.
So you just focused in on a powerful place that is limiting your naturally abundant nature. This genius within you is what I hear you calling forth. It's probably pushing, like something's trying to push its way out into the world, because you are here to be of bigger service. You're doing this show. This is a show that I can say, I would imagine, is this something that you love doing?
I really truly do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. This is what you love. This is your jam. This is what you're good at. It's helping people. And so those roadblocks, those proverbial roadblocks, need to be examined, and they need to be healed, and they need to be let go of. And that's a whole kind of discussion in its own right, because from the book, I start to talk about things like forgiving, and I talk about surrender in death, letting the old Dustin die away so you can write this next chapter in your life. Only you can do that. It's a choice. You get to choose that. If you have a map, you have the steps that we're talking about.
That's the key.
That's how we kind of take incremental steps. And you can wander around and seek for the rest of your life, for another 2 or 3 lifetimes, if you believe in that shit. Or you can take that direct arrow to that bullseye by being super real, super honest, freeing yourself of the past through powerful practices of forgiveness and surrender and death. Because ultimately, your light and your genius is emerging and burgeoning. It's coming through. It's coming through in this show, so it's alive. It's
Well,
not
that's
like
a good.
it's alive and well. So hopefully these are little tidbits. There's a lot more to it, and obviously when I'm working with people, it's really gets really into the nitty gritty and rolling up your sleeves. But this is a time to show up. If we're not going to do it now, then okay, so be it. But right now, the invitation is to folks to do some of the things that Dustin is doing. He's asking these tough questions of himself, and he's probably going to be looking at his life a lot more like, hey, this is the way it is. and I need to deal with the way it is, not the way I think it is.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure. So
so much
hopefully that's
truth.
helpful, brother. Hopefully that gives you a
Oh my
few
gosh.
few little tidbits, because you got something in you that's, I think, the secret sauce. And you've shared it, and I want to reflect this back to you right now, and that is the key to manifesting a life of your ultimate dreams, the key of living your best life now, comes from a knowing that you can serve others and make the world a better place. And you have said very clearly, you have a mission to show up that way,
Amen.
and you're good.
Well, thank
Don't
you.
forget it. That's the sauce. Stay with that, because that'll lead you like a freaking torch through the crazy ass seas and wild things that are going on
Hmm.
with that, because that will continue to reprogram ourselves. And then as you get out of the way, the universe will help you. It will deliver those people, those resources that will support your mission, your heart mission, your soul mission. Hopefully that makes some sense.
Oh, it absolutely does. And ironically, I do believe that, you know, there, life is purpose driven. It's having a purpose driven life, and um, it all comes down to focus, and it all comes down to who you feel you are inside of yourself and how you want to project that to the world. And then where that gets muddled is how we personally feel about feedback from what the world thinks we should be. Does that make sense?
Well, no, it makes total sense. And I just say this, it's none of our business what other people think of us.
That's my biggest hang up. See,
We
I
got to
care.
mind our own business. None
I,
of our business what they're thinking of us.
that's perfect. uh, that's perfect. I've needed to be told that. My mother's been telling me that for decades.
Well,
And
we don't always listen to our moms. Sorry, Barb. That's just the way it is.
yeah, oh, my mom's been trying to tell me for years.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I believe that we're put in places, by the universe. I think the universe it puts us in front of opportunities, and I believe that this show has provided me with opportunities to talk to people like you who have had incredible life experiences. I mean, just reading your biography is mind-boggling. I mean, it's just you've done so much, and it's like you feel like you've only scratched the surface. You have so much more that you want to do, and so much more that you feel that you can give, and you've reached the pinnacle of what society thinks you should be. Does that make sense? Like, you've got the money, you've got the material things. I mean, blah 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 blah. That's what society thinks. But you're like, I can continue to give back. I can continue to be this light in the world, regardless of what the world thinks and regardless of what I have. And I think that's admirable. There's not a lot of people who treat wealth and success that way.
Well, thank you for that. And I would first of all say, it's is kind of leaning more into that secret sauce. Is where are we showing up, and how can we be of greater service? I look at wealth very differently today, and I don't have the wealth like I had back then, but I have so much more wealth, and that's wealth of freedom from the system, freedom from the
Mm,
the belief system that I'm not good enough, freedom from not being worthy of love, freedom to live in joy. Money's very secondary compared to all that. Health, this is true wealth. And it's easy, maybe you think, for me to say, and people, and I really feel for people that are struggling to even pay the rent. By God, everything is going through the roof in terms of cost. But let me just say an interesting stat. For the last 6 months in America, over 4 million people every month have left their jobs. They're sick of their work because it's not fulfilling.
Amen.
And they're going for work that's going to be fulfilling. And they're showing up, they're having this courage to show up and risk it, because this is an old paradigm and an old mindset that we can live separate from our authentic self. We can live separate than nature. We can live separate from the abundance of the universe. And this is the kind of mind and thinking that's killing us, and it's creating disease. It's death and disease. And it just is incremental, chipping. And my gosh, this is such an important thing right now. And I think every human being has a right to choose their own destiny, to choose their authentic self, and that this great crisis is not out there so much in our climate and our crazy ass politician. The crisis is right here in ourselves, to say, you know what? I'm gonna step into that unknown. I'm gonna embrace my place where I feel fearful. And you talked about fear. You didn't mention it because men have a hell of a hard time talking about some of this stuff. And, what this is fear, when we are overly having to service being the rescuer, or overly having to try to be somebody. We fear our power. We fear our truth. I lived that life, and that life was going to lead me to the dead end. So this is where I'm kind of flowing a little bit with this today. Those stepping stones and that pathway forward, as I share in the Divine Genius, the Unlearning Curve begins with a series of the wisdom teachings that says, okay, we can apply these things like forgiveness. Like what is purpose? Do I even have meaning in the world? I can't do anything in the world. I'm not good at. That's nonsense. That is a story that we tell ourselves. The biggest bullshitter that I ever knew was myself. That was the biggest bullshitter I've ever met. And that had like no moss, no moss, and it was a journey through it. It is painful, and it is difficult, but there's great gifts in that, and that's what I'm finding, and that's what's saying, hey, there's a lot of good stuff coming. There's a lot of things happening. So hopefully that's rolling and supporting you.
I hope so.
Your highest calling, because you're on it. Thank you.
Think?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think.
See, this is my point exactly.
We talked about it. It doesn't matter what I think or anybody else. It matters what you think. And you said exactly what many people are seeking in their life. They are seeking even to get to the place, how can I help and serve others in a constructive way? Not as a rescuer, but as somebody that shines their light, their genius into conversation. This is your jam. This is your space. And that little thing is like a little tripwire that catapults people into their greater potential. I want to mention something to you. And, and I don't mean to say it as, the man that always wants to say, here's a quick fix and here's what you need to do. No, this is a journey, as you know. We got to go through, can't go around this stuff and this pain and some of these limiting beliefs that are present here that you shared. But there's a platform that could potentially serve what you're doing. And it's a new platform that is just out in the last week, and it's taking off. It's an app. And I don't know if you've heard of this. It's called Wisdom. Wisdom.
I'm going right now.
and you would kill it on wisdom.
Really?
Yeah, you would kill it because its ability to host conversations and then invite guests up from the audience about things that are really important, not only in your world, but in all of our world. Yesterday I hosted a conversation about what ignites your passion and brings you alive. Today I hosted 121 people showed up for that.
Oh wow! What is it? Wisdom International? Is it a little blue icon?
Yeah, it's called Wisdom.
Because
There's somebody with a headset. So check it out later. I mean, but
yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
It's a place for you to host some conversation, but you want to drive people to connect with you further. Not just social media stuff, but also to really tune into. Maybe check out a website that you have. Maybe whatever it is. I think you'd be awesome at it. So there's a thought.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because I'm definitely going to check that out. If I can get you to stick around for just a few minutes here, sure. I'm going to I got to run the pesky ads, and when we come back, maybe you could share with us a little bit of like a little specifics. Maybe lay out some of that roadmap. Is that something maybe we could get into?
Of course. If we don't do that, it's just a bunch of talk.
Amen. All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Guys, please, in the meantime, head over to YouTube and smash that subscribe button. Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey and WLFE-DB Radio Network. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video when we do go live. It is your place for variety entertainment. Also, check out BB3 TV on Facebook. And guys, there's something for everybody. So please go check that stuff out. And we'll be right back with Adam C. Hall after this short message.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area, 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah! Good job. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now back to our program.
All right. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I appreciate it. Welcome back, Adam. Thank you.
Of course. Great
All
to
right.
be here.
Yeah, so, guys, really quick, if you'd like to become a supporter of the show, please head over to patreon.com/off the cuff with Dustin Heisey and become a supporter of the show. Every dollar helps, and we sincerely do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And we look forward to growing our show and being able to provide you with quality content. So we do appreciate everything that you do for us. So thank you. All right. So before we took a little bit of a break, we were talking a little bit about self-discovery. Essentially, it's not necessarily discovery. It's holding yourself accountable, for what you've done and how you've lived your life. And I really need to be that person who says, look, I am responsible for where I'm at. My thought processes have brought me to where I am. And now it's okay. We need a roadmap. We need somebody that can just put it out there for us. There is a path to, reaching that quantum level. I need you to tell us what that is.
Happy to do that, and love that you're putting it out there for support in the show. Let's remember, giving is receiving. So I just want to honor your journey and what you're doing here. And importantly, when we're talking about the path, a stepping stone of, call it whatever you want. You can call it the journey of self-discovery. You can call it the enlightenment. You can call it whatever you want. But what I would say very clearly, it's taking steps to reveal and remember the authentic person that you are, the most authentic person that you are, as your truth, as a genius, as a light in the world. Every single one of us has this powerful light, and it's a light that expresses through us, from the universe. You can call it from God, greater being, Wantanka, like the natives and Americans had awfully shared. So whatever that is for you, but it's like, how do we step beyond this existing thought structure of separation? In other words, we want to think there's something outside of ourselves that's going to get us out of that place. Well, here's the truth of that. It ain't going to happen. Einstein once said, you can't solve the problem from the place the problem was created. In other words, thinking separately and functioning in a separate idea of ourselves, not our authentic self, and trying to reach out for anything. In the old days, it used to be, my God, we better go to church or we're going to be miserable sinners and struck down. So we had a priest that was the intermediary between God or the quantum field. Gurus, same idea. The point I want to say before we take a key step, and that's all we're going to get time for probably today, and that is that we don't need any guru or any preacher or anybody or anything other than ourselves. And that should come as a relief, because imagine this: when we can reclaim that power that is within each of us, when we can say yes to that power, then we can be self-determined. We can move beyond the story, beyond the belief systems of our families, our cultures, and all that shit that's separate. So there's one thing that we've been hitting on, and I talk a lot about this right now, in this journey of 13 steps, these 13 wisdom teachings, is I want to just emphasize the following. And that is this idea of this first teaching, this first step around forgiveness. Okay. Hear me for a second.
Sure.
The idea is forgiveness not for what happened, but for what did not happen. Let me explain. We live in a world where shit happens, and I don't want to be de minimis to anybody that's had heavy shit that's gone on in their life. I hold them in deep compassion. I've had my own things going on. The point is, is when we decide, oh, I'm going to forgive that person for what they did. What does that make us? The victim. We always hear the victims.
That's right.
This is a trap. What we do is we decide that person's guilty. You're a miserable this, whatever it is. And all of a sudden we're in judgment. We decide that they are tormenting the world and tormenting us. And now all of a sudden we own that. Now, what I want to share about true forgiveness is it's not to say nothing ever happened, but it's only to free ourselves from what happened. Like, why would we want to have some person or thing control our thoughts? Because we live in our past experiences. We just keep projecting them from that place of separation and that experience of that pain. Idea that I'm putting forth here is the idea that we forgive people for what didn't happen. And the most important thing is we forgive ourselves for what didn't happen. And what did not happen was we forgot. We simply made an error that we are connected with each other. I mean, if you think about it, if you remove all the externals and you are with another human being, they're just as much human as you are. You know, maybe they've gone awry. Maybe they do crazy shit. You know, maybe all that, but that's not the point. The point is there's a connection point to, so forgiveness takes us back to the connection point within ourselves. And I've had to forgive myself a lot for things that I've done in my relationships, in my work. And I continue to practice this. So the idea is forgive ourselves for for forgetting the connection and connect with others. And that will free us from a lot of experiences that we had. So that first key step is to be freed of those old stories and those old traumas and those people. And everybody's got these kind of life events. And why do we want to keep living in the past instead of stepping into the present and stepping into our potential? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I've said this all the time. My wife and I have this conversation. There's absolutely no point in living in the past. I mean, a lot of stuff has happened to both of us. I mean, a lot of stuff has happened to everybody who's alive on this planet. I mean, it's a difficult path being a human being on this planet. Everything you're saying is resonating with me. I mean, I've needed you in my life a lot longer than you should have been in my life a long time ago. I really wish I had this advice a long time ago, because one of the biggest things is I have no issues. I can forgive forgiveness comes easy for me. I don't hold grudges. I've never done that. People have scorned me, burned me, stabbed me, shot me, whatever. But I'll forgive them because I like to live in a place of love. I like to live in a place that where it's not dragging my spirit down by holding on to all of this. And you know, it's a funny thing to look at me, to look at my face. When I spent 8 years in the Army, all right, one of my sergeants, his name was Dan Rich. He used to call me the angry private. And I was like, I said, why do you call me that? Why are you calling me the angry private? He's like, dude, look at you. You look like you're going to kill somebody 24/7. I'm like, what do you? So essentially my wife explained it to me one day. She said it pretty simply. You have resting bitch face. So I guess I just have this look that people are like, dude, are you mad? Are you angry? Or what? I mean, no, I'm actually intently listening to what you're saying. As rare as that is, I'm one of these people, when you're speaking to me, I am listening to you. I'm hearing you, not just listening. I'm trying to help you get to the root of what your thing is. And maybe I can learn something in the process, you know, and become a better person in the process. I'm not angry. I'm not an angry guy at all. So forgiveness comes very easy for me.
Are we talking about for true forgiveness where nothing from your past is holding you back? And we may not be conscious of these types of limiting beliefs in these events. So sometimes we have to kind of dig in there a little bit to uncover some of the stuff that's keeping us in our own stories versus freeing us from that. So keep digging there and keep checking in there, because I honor the courage that you have. There's something that's channeling through you that's driving you to only sleep 2 or 3 hours a night. Okay. That's an energy. That's an experience of something that occurred in your lifetime that is in the recesses of the mind that was initially maybe channeling into anger, and it could be channeling in other ways now. Forgiveness says, oh, I'm going to go to that place and I'm no longer going to allow that to dictate my life. And I heard you say something that I'm going to invite you to take out of your vocabulary. I wish, I should have, I could have.
Living in the past.
All in the past.
All living in the past. And that's what you're inviting, because I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe that what we put out, we get back. And
100%.
Those are limiting statements.
Yes. Glad. Thank you for being radically honest with yourself.
Yeah. It's one thing I'm able to do. I mean, I can definitely look at myself in the mirror, but again, I'm hung up. Okay. I have these qualities. People recognize qualities in me. People see qualities in me that I don't even know I have. And I'm gracious to these people who say these nice things to me, but I am that person where you can say, Dustin, you are a fantastic guy. You really are a great guy. You'll bend over backwards for anybody. Give the shirt off their back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. But inside, I'm a horrible person. I think bad things sometimes. I let the outside world, get to me sometimes and make me.
You're a human being?
Imagine that.
Oh my God, there's a confession, people. He's a human being. He has crazy thoughts. And I was thinking a crazy thought earlier in the day, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we operate in the old separate system. This is our time to end that by taking the journey, moving through the old stories, the old limiting beliefs, taking the step, freeing ourselves through true forgiveness, not like, or bearing something. No, I literally every day puts me to the test that I need to forgive myself for, feeling like that guy is a son of a bitch over there, or what the hell is going on with that, crazy mofo that's seemingly representing my state government. All this silly, whatever it is, it's human nature. So it's just a matter of being conscious of, these parts of our journey, because that power it will diminish of the old unconscious thought as we take our own power back through forgiveness and stepping forward into purpose and into the greater potential of who we are and in our gifts in our light. You've got that. You're in it. You're on it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, that means a lot to me to hear you say that. And I know I shouldn't need to hear that from you, but it does certainly help.
Well, wait a second. What do you mean? We do need to hear this. This is what we're here to do as human beings, as people that we care about each other. We're here to lift each other, and we're here to love each other. And I know that that's not woo-woo stuff. This is the innate nature of humans, and we can go awry, and we can do really terrible things, but ultimately at the core of ourselves, we're love, and we're here to help each other. And that's going to come back in spades, because you've got your bank of goodwill, Maybe that bank account with dollars is one thing, but your bank of goodwill is very large. And I can say without a doubt, as we align into your authentic self, into the connection with that field, that's where that bank of goodwill lies for all of us. And then all of a sudden it's going to go, oh, here, have you ever had like a coincidence? Maybe you're thinking about something or something's around and all of a sudden the person shows up and offers you something. Maybe we don't even see it because a lot of time we're not paying attention.
Amen.
We're listening to our own noise of being separate. And that's the key, is to begin to listen, be present. Slow down can actually mean going faster, and you drive a truck and you're whatever it is you're driving, maybe you're in traffic, but you're driving and you're moving, and to slow down and just be still on that ground is going to be powerful, because the universe is going to start dropping in your not from your goodwill bank into your money bank.
Oh, please.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not going to cry to you. All right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something that we're going through at this particular moment. And it's a little bit, life sucking. We, our current residents, we've only lived here for a year. And my wife and I have been renters for the past 6 years. And in two instances, the first instance was our landlord, great people, wonderful people. We love the Shelleys. They're great, wonderful people. But they sold their property. They were getting on in years. It's just too much for them to manage. We completely understood that.
Right.
The situation we're in now is not the same. We've only been here for a year. We're the first people to live in this house that weren't the family. Okay, so it's always been family in possession of this house, and the man built this house with his own two hands. I understand that. I understand their sentimental attachment to this place. But now here we are in a situation where they don't want to renew our lease. It's not because we didn't pay. We've never missed a payment. It's not because we don't take care of the house. We take care of the house. It's immaculate. It's simply because they don't like when people stand up to them. And it was one of these cases where we just didn't allow them to bully us because we're the first people here. They were here all the time. And they invaded our right to peaceful enjoyment, essentially. So I'm sitting in a situation now where they serve us with a piece of paper that says we have to be out of here by the 31st of November. And it's wintertime starting here. And it puts us in this incredibly difficult position where the housing market is difficult, to say the least, right now. And the houses are insane. Finding a rental property that doesn't cost you $2,000 a month is insane. So here we are in this predicament where I'm thinking, I can be the most forgiving person in the world. I could be the most loving person in the world. But being that I'm not the most financially affluent person in the world, I'm in a situation where I can't just go and fix this situation. And that's where I get stuck, because we're talking about trying to be positive and positive energy, putting the positive energy out into the universe, receiving the positive energy back, as so is the law of attraction. How can I even consider being happy, positive, forgiving as I am when my family's in the situation that we're in? You see what I'm saying?
Well, I do, and I feel you as a father and as a provider, and so first and foremost, not to be remiss of that. And certainly, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas season, and it's the circumstances obviously got out of control, and for someone to be insensitive to that circumstance. And that landlord has power to do that, has rights to do that. And at the same time, you have rights as a tenant, and you have rights to your own quiet enjoyment. And, and there's more to it. So the fact of the matter is it's an invitation, and you just put out to the universe something that is not not going to support a cooperating with you. That is, I cannot go out. I cannot go out there. And I would encourage you to reframe that. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find a situation that's far better than this situation for my family. And I'm going to go out and explore a new possibility. And that possibility may be in a different town, in a different city, in a different place.
I've thought about that.
And it just may be the invitation to that the situation you're in is not the right place for your family. Now, that is moving into co-creative collaboration with the field of abundance that's going to draw you into opportunity that you may not even know where it comes from, and it may come from a place that you can't even imagine. For example, you may be talking to somebody, maybe somebody listening to this show says, "Oh, I know something," or "I got a place over in, I don't know where you want to raise your children." So it offers the invitation. Now, it's obviously there's some learning there for you, because you got in a place where there was energy.
Yeah.
It's not a right or wrong. There just was. And that energy may have had a little charge in it, like anger. Even though it came out one way, it had a charge. and that hit the wrong damn place.
Yeah, clearly.
So there's the learning side, but also it won't mean a hill of beans to just shift and move. We all want to just do a geographic and relocate because we got to get away from a relationship, or we got to get out of a life that we're in. And you think about it. It's not about just geographically locating or changing places. It's also about relocating within yourself where you're feeling that. And that means going to that place, to be radically honest, to learn, to really say, something, there's this piece of myself that is not happy. And I know that I, as an angry man at one time, that I needed to go to a place and love myself in places that didn't feel so lovable. And I had to be a man enough to say, I'm going to go there, because I'm not going to show up in the world. I'm no good to my children if I'm showing up there. I'm no good to my soul and my heart to do my work in the world and share the genius and the gifts that I have. And of course, this is universal for every human being. So I'm going to encourage you to get right back to the learning side, of course. Show the world that you're doing that. You don't need to show people. You need to show yourself by taking the time to go sit somewhere and tune in to that piece. So these patterns keep repeating themselves. They're like a boomerang that comes out and then it just comes back and lops our head off. So I'm going to encourage this as a movement, but also there's a great opportunity that's being offered. And that opportunity is to think, my gosh, maybe this is a beginning for my family. And if it means that you need to stay longer, then you're just going to need to stay a little longer, and your landlord is going to have to say, well, that's just the way it is. And right now, not that you want to get into more acrimony, but it's the holidays and you're here to protect your family and do what's right. And these people that don't understand these things or don't care about these things, they get to also know, hey, this is an invitation for them to be more compassionate. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of law going on right now. I don't know where you are around eviction that makes this shit really hard for landlords. We're all going through tough. So, you can politely speak there to him and at the right time and, and stay current with where you are with him.
Yeah.
And then he'll have to just say, okay, I'll just have to hang out here for another month or two. In the meantime, you can go find what you want, what
And
you and your wife want. Make
that's
sense?
literally the plan.
Yeah.
We've had that discussion, and that's really what we're going to be doing. Hey, Anne Marie, it's good to see you in here. Really, Adam, thank you so much for coming on our show tonight here and spending this time with us. I mean, I am truly honored to have had the opportunity. I really cannot wait to get into, the meat and potatoes of your book. I'm super excited to get into it. I started reading it. Tell folks where they can get a hold of your book.
Well, it's right there on the screen. You can first of all go to adamhall.solutions, and I begin with giving. So I'm giving away this little ebook called The Little Book of Genius for Abundance. It's a little mini book that offers some insights around these 13 wisdom teachings to help create abundance in your life. I have a book coming out on Amazon and worldwide called The Little Book of Genius for Abundance next month. But that's where you can find the book Divine Genius, The Unlearning Curve. And that may seem like an investment for some people, but it's an investment in you where the return on that investment is infinite. It's enormous. What's more important than investing in ourselves? And you've shown up today to speak into some things where you're feeling authentically, Dustin, and this show was really wonderful because we got to tune in, and hopefully it's supporting you and your own evolution and those in your audience that are also listening so that they can embrace their power, so that they can forgive and move beyond the past, so that we can all move into, which is I would say, is our God-given gift, our inheritance, so to speak, of our divine nature is light, is abundance, and is joy. And this is for real. And it's time that we as human beings stop denying it, because in our denial, we're just destroying our lives. And we've seemingly got ourselves in a hell of a mess on this planet because of that very type of thinking. So we need you. We need you, brother. We need everybody to make the shift, because when you and I and everybody, we begin to make that shift, you're shifting, we're making a huge difference, not only in our lives, but in our lives of our children and our grandchildren in this planet. So we can do this.
And they are my why. My family, my family is my why. Why do I get up every day? Why do I put on the work boots every day? Why do I grind? Why do I only sleep 2 hours? It's really all about trying to provide the best that I can for my family and my children. But again, I'm not providing the best because I haven't connected the way that I need to connect to really open up that divine abundance. Because I really do. I feel the call. I feel like you said earlier in the show, it's just wanting to explode out of me. But really, it's just finding that zipper and pulling it down. I'm still searching for it,
Right. Well, if you don't mind, I'll just share something with you
Please.
briefly. And as a father and as a man, I deeply appreciate and honor you as to your why in service to your children. And I want you to really think about saying yes to that, but first and foremost, saying to the why within you. Your soul, your light is your why, and how you express it is the key. Because if we're not in the why of ourselves, then we're going to be not so good to others and the world. In other words, it's not selfish to attend to the care and the love of who we are, because ultimately, as we shine our light into the world, as we express our gifts into the world, we are lifting our families. We're setting a great example for our children.
Mm.
My gosh, I had to leave a marriage after 14 years with 3 daughters. And because I needed to listen to the call of my why. Otherwise, I would have just been dead and worthless. And what good that would have been to them and the world and the grandchildren, because we're all needed. So work on that and feel into that why for you, because that why is so meaningful to them. They care deeply. So do I. I care.
Yeah.
So,
and I appreciate that.
yeah.
I mean that deeply. I mean that. And I don't take things like that lightly. It's something that I carry with me, and I always will. So I sincerely do appreciate that. Adam, I hope that you'd find it beneficial and fruitful to come back on our show and join us with for another show sometime, because I certainly enjoyed this, and our time went way too fast. Here it is, already an hour and 20 minutes in, and I feel like I could talk to you for
absolutely. Well, let's stay in touch. Reach out. Just ping us a note. And this is what I'm here to do, and this is who I am, and this is what I love being. This is Adam. This is my why, and let's do it. Let's share, and let's lift others into their authenticity and into their genius. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure we'll be in touch, and blessings to you.
Thank you, sir, and right back at you, sir. And thank you so much again for coming on, guys, and for you guys being here watching. Thank you for spending that time with us. I appreciate it. Adam, take the best care of yourself, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.
Well, thank you so much, Dustin, and thank you for your service to the country. Thank you for your hard work you're doing, and thank you for paying attention to you and your family, and inviting people to come on the show, because we change one life, we change generations, and this
Absolutely.
is the power. This is the power of what your gift is and what you're shining in the world. So thank you for your service all the way around, brother. You take care now.
Take care, Adam. Have a good evening. Okay, guys, thank you so much for hanging out here, watching the show with us tonight. If you didn't have an opportunity today to watch the show live, that's okay. Head over to iTunes or Spotify and search for Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey, and you can check out the episodes as we list them. Really, guys, I hope you got as much from this interview as I did, because, I mean, we are so lost in a world right now that is muddled with negativity and people that just, it's so easy to just jump off the gun and start being mad and angry. I do it. I'm guilty of this every day as a truck driver who is faced with stressful situations every single day, and people giving me the finger. And, I think what we need to do is leave that stuff alone, step away from that kind of stuff. And I think that's the message today. And start looking into yourself, figure out what your sole purpose really is, and go after it. Okay. This what you guys are witnessing, this is my place. This is where, as Adam called, this is my jam. And I want this to grow. And I can only do that if I have your help and support. And the fact that you guys are here and you watch the show and you're listening to it on iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're getting this content, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And that being said, guys, please head over to patreon.com/offthecuff with Dustin Heisey. Become a supporter of the show. Really, every single dollar that you guys spend over there really does help us out. And it will help us to stay on the air and bring you folks like Adam. Go to his website. Get that free book. I'm going to put this back up here for you. This is important. AdamHall.solutions. Go over there. Download that free book. He's giving you invaluable information, life-changing information for nothing. That's a man that cares. Understand what I'm saying? He cares, and he wants you to have that abundant and fulfilled life. Go do it. Take advantage. You'd be a fool not to. Okay. www.adamhall.solutions. Go check out his website. Guys, please, if you haven't done it already, hit that like and share button. Get this out to people who haven't seen it yet. And that would be seriously appreciated by myself. Join us again next week, guys, at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. Next week's guest, I'm going to put it out there for you, is we are going to be talking to Sherry Fernandez. Okay. She has written a book called Life Mastery. It's personal progression towards an infinite potential. You see where I'm going with my content, guys? I want to provide you with content that can help enrich and better your life. Okay, that's what I want to do. That's my goal. That's my purpose and my other why. Okay, I want to do this for you. So I'm going to get you in touch with people like this, like Adam, like Sherry, because their experience, their knowledge can help enrich your life. So please, guys, join me next week. And when you see me put the show out there, share it out, please. It didn't cost nothing. Hit that share button. It doesn't cost you a dime. Hit it. Smash the button. Let other people, if you don't want to watch the show, fine. Maybe somebody out there that you know does. It would just be very helpful for me if you would do that. So, okay, enough rambling, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Head over to WLFE-DB Radio and hit that like and follow button. Okay, guys? Same with YouTube. Same with Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. I've been saying it the whole show. Every show, it's all the same thing. But it's quality variety entertainment, guys, and we are dedicated to bringing you the best that we possibly can. So, guys, thanks again so much for going Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.